Greetings, one and all, to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet. A YouTube channel content creator actively alienating everyone in both the analog and digital world. Well, welcome and good evening, you wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8. Who else is looking forward to eventually be able to buy the new Overlord anime movie on Blu-ray? Also like Reincarnated as a Slime anime, that's good too. I also strongly suggest watching little documentary or little fun videos on dinosaurs, or even different time periods when it comes to Earth, or things about volcanoes, or nature, or World War I and World War II, or just how tanks and trains work. Or just the solar system, stars, galaxies, microbiology, DNA, atoms, explosives, different types of guns, and of course, VTubers. This is a work of fiction. Names, characters, places, and events are the products of the creator's imaginations. Any resemblance to actual persons living or dead, or actual events is purely coincidental. Halloween. What a wickedly wonderful night to find restless souls. While humans party, look for candy, and scare the living daylights out of one another, I always make the most of that sacred time. For I, Greya Perim, am a reaper in search of exceptional souls to harvest. My job is simple: find those that have died and usher their souls to their final destination. I know I'm a terrible person for this, but I was just imagining if the Reaper decided pull pranks on people and just drop their souls off at Arby's, and they're like, "Wait, what? Why am I here? That's your final resting place, Arby's." It's what? However, some souls are more treasured than others. Humans like to take comfort in telling each other that death is the great equalizer, that it's all the same when someone dies. But anything could be further from the truth. It would be rather wicked to let them know how wrong they are, and so we don't. What they don't know is that those with interesting, complex, or otherwise unorthodox deaths are more valuable. So we're just completely discounting who they are as a person or their life itself. That kind of sucks. That's kind of like Who Goes to Hell in the Slayers anime from the 90s. It has nothing to do with goodness. It's just okay, did you piss off the Mazuko? Okay. It's either you don't exist anymore, or you exist and you don't want to. It's I know there's more to it. Granted, it's an anime based off light novels, and Naga is usually isn't in the anime TV shows, but she's in the movies. And she's just a really tall woman with giant tits wearing a goth bikini. Nobody would talk reverently of a reaper who lingered around hospitals and nursing homes, waiting for withering husks to fade after all. No, by far the most worthwhile and interesting deaths occur from murders. Well, you seem excited. Then again, I mean, there's a reason horror movies are popular. Heck, there's a reason why I played a crap ton of Grand Theft Auto or like the original Crackdown and prototype games because it's just fun to play video games. But this is a Why am I now thinking about the anime Grand Theft Auto that's coming out? I've seen Asmongold and a couple of people talk about it. Apparently, originally called Project Mugen, but it's going to be called Anato. But it's like Grand Theft Auto, but anime, and I'm like, that looks really fun. Then again, I'm the kind of weird person to watch like those iceberg videos on the internet, or will literally still like I grew up watching the History Channel, even back when I was like 9 years old. Also like National Geographic, Nature Channel, stuff like that, and lots of like science programs. And I like to read. I would actually read stuff about, dinosaurs and facts about them. And I was actually really into science and stuff back when I was younger. Heck, I graduated from high school with a 4.0 straight A's. Had basically like 100% in every class I took. I even took like classes like calculus, physics, and chemistry back then. I remember none of that stuff, but I don't know if I even could, relearn it. Heck, I was an Eagle Scout, and I've tried to go back to learning those knots that I knew back then. I can't do it. Then again, I always had a terrible sense of direction. So, even when I was completely familiarized with how to read maps back then, I still just I get lost easily. You know what I think would be really cool? You guys ever see like the maps like Pangea and stuff? What if, now hear me out, I know this is weird of me to say, but what if you had like an archive of just every video game and anime world map? Like Final Fantasy VIII, or say the world of Yggdrasil from Overlord? Like, what if you just had a big archive of all the different maps from different video games and anime? Heck, what if you had actual, like, normal, full-size globes, but they were, like, of the world from Final Fantasy VIII? Just globes from video games or anime worlds. Then it'd be cool just to have, like, they made VR chat rooms based off of retro video games, but 3D and looking more. Like, I know I've said it before, but I think it'd be cool. Like, imagine if you could walk around a realistic, full-scale version of, like, the game Bloodborne, but there's no enemies or hazards, and you're just, like, walking around chilling and talking to people. And it's just, you take the map, like, imagine if you took especially the starting area of Bloodborne, and there's no enemies or anything, and you just have a giant immersive map that's virtual reality, and people just go there and walk around and talk to each other. Or just imagine if you had like games from the NES era, like Final Fantasy VI, like I remember sharing a picture of this idea that I found on the internet that looked really beautiful. But the idea being, if you had this amazing, incredible full-scale poster, like realistic painting art of like Final Fantasy VI or Super Nintendo games, showing the worlds basically in like Elden Ring level, detail. Heck, Imagine if you took modern day hentai, and yes, I know I'm going a little bit off the cuff with this, but imagine if like you had something like High School DxD or Bible Black, and you drew it more lewd, more nudity, bigger titties, more ecchi. Like, just take stuff that's already hentai and just make it more fan service. I think a game called Girls Frontline 2 recently came out. The only reason I'm not playing it is because it's not on PlayStation. But if it ever did come to PlayStation, I would say this. I would want them to censor nothing, and I would want them to add extra content and make it even more lewd. And granted, yeah, there are some video games and anime I don't want to be lewd because I just want to enjoy the game. I'm like, but at the same time, if a game's got a modding community, let them do what the hell they want. I'm just saying this. I don't want like hentai in my Dragon Ball Z anime or in my Halo video game, but I'll certainly look up, giant big titty Cortana or struggling to remember what anime. Oh, Dragon Ball Z. Like, I don't want hentai to be in DBZ, but I've definitely looked at a lot of hentai, mainly of Bulma and Android 18. Granted, there are also futa in like half of those pictures, but still. I'm just saying there's nothing wrong with people wanting to enjoy the fan art of that stuff. I just don't want it outright in my anime. That's not about that. Now, granted, there are other animes that are about the fan service. At which point, hell yes. More. Like the Adam Driver meme. Though you'll also have basically people that get offended at the tiniest bit of sexuality in cartoons or anime or any kind of video game or fiction, and like, oh, this is offensive to real people. Like, no, it's not. It's a drawing. Now, I would say this, like, yeah, if it's a game or something that's not about that, like, if you're playing Call of Duty, unless it's a mod, you shouldn't see, like, giant anime titties everywhere. Like, that's not what you're there for. If somebody wants to play their own version of it that's got that, that's cool. You do you. But I'm there just to run around, have fun, and play a game. But if the game's meant to be about fan service, then why are people jumping on other people's back for enjoying what they enjoy? But yeah, I know I got off topic. I still don't know if I'm ADHD or autism or I'm just getting old. I don't know. But imagine if you had insert name of very ecchi anime. Heck, feel free to share examples of video games or anime that you like. And I would say try to pick an anime that's high on fan service and ecchi, but isn't outright hentai. Does Bible Black count there, or is that too far? Then again, I guess that's part of the reason why VTubers are a bit popular, because, well, people like watching, streams of cute, cuddly-looking people that are just friendly and warm and kind and just full of energy and seem like, hey, pop on a stream, and then there's this really cute VTuber girl who seems like she's genuinely happy and excited that, people are there. Heck, it's like men want one thing, and it's disgusting. To be treated with respect and kindness, to be appreciated, to actually be cared about, and to be given hugs. And maybe to have meaningful, loving relationships. But also tons of random friendships on the internet to fill in the gaps, especially for those of us who, well, do not have much success in either finding relationships or, well, having ones that are not with someone who is, out of their fucking mind. So, So whether you're someone struggling to get relationships or someone who tends to get into very toxic, unhealthy relationships that are not maintainable by any stretch of any amount of effort, having people on the internet to vicariously have pseudo-fake parasocial friendships with, because at the end of the day, people say, oh, you should go outside and socialize and stuff, but sometimes, while that always is good advice, it's not always feasible. And a lot of times people are just busy. Heck, I know as I've gotten older, like almost pretty much, yeah, all my friends have moved far away and are busy with their own shit, and it's like, and even then, I work 50 hours a week at a factory. It's like, I will say this, while the job I currently work does take a bit of effort, a little here and there, and I seem to keep spraining tendons and hurting myself, doing things like hurting my right elbow and shoulder, and I know about a month ago I rolled my left ankle. That hurt. Heck, a few days ago I have like a 2-inch long, like blackish gray. I mean, it's not purple, but it's like there was like a couple tiny spots of purple, but it's like just a 2-inch long and like 1.5 inch like tall or wide bruise on my left pectoral muscle. That's like somewhat into my nipple, but it's like mostly above it, but connected to it. And I have no idea where the fuck that came from. It's just, all of a sudden I hop out of the shower, look in the mirror, and I'm like, I have like a 2-inch long bruise on my chest that's just gray with a little bit of black. And I'm like, what the fuck happened? It's like, I don't remember doing anything to do that. Then my current job uses a lot of reciprocating saw and a lot of lifting and stuff. Still fat, so it's not really working as a workout. And I've still been trying to go to the bike trail and stuff, but I'm going to have to stop, even though it's been unseasonably warm for this time of year. It's December 9th, 9:27 a.m. right now of 2024, Ohio time. But, that's another thing. I kind of like, another reason the VR chat thing, like, it'd be nice to be able to walk around video game worlds. You know, obviously in safety. I wouldn't want like the worlds of Fallout or Final Fantasy VIII, or especially some of the worlds that have very vibrant, environments of nature. Those look like they'd be very beautiful walker. Then I've seen all sorts of pictures of places like Switzerland, New Zealand, Greece, and other places in Portugal and stuff like that. It's like lots of places in Europe. But of course, that's not most of Europe. Same way, like, not most of America is like, bike trails. Like, a lot of it's just giant fucking cities, and some of it's just sprawling farmlands. I'm saying this. I like bike trails. I like hiking trails. I like nature, but I also like sleeping in my own bed. I don't like camping anymore. I don't think I ever want to go camping again. But I do like going for walks and just enjoying nature. But I do sort of feel a bit, I don't know, ungrateful. Because on the one hand, I am grateful that we do have the bike trails that are available. I would feel like almost like I'd like more. Like if I could just teleport across the planet and like, okay, here's this bike trail here. Or like, here's a trail from a video game that I can just walk and enjoy the environment. I like in video games, like a lot of the backgrounds, especially games like Brave Friends Musashi or Mega Man Legends. It's just, whether it's a outdoors environment or even a beautiful like mansion or castle type, or even a modern, cyberpunk sort of environment, I do enjoy just going around and wandering environments in video games. I enjoy the environments, and I like the idea of seeing backgrounds of retro games redrawn in much more higher resolution, or more to the point. Like, imagine if you had, I don't know, environments from like Mario or Zelda from the N64, but you had them rendered in like the same type of graphics as Elden Ring. Now, of course, you could change color palettes, but still keep it like very realistic looking. Heck, eventually you might have an AI that's able to make stuff that looks like you could take stuff from an old video game and just have it make a full-on realistic thing where it looks like real world, and you could have it look realistic color palettes where it looks like you couldn't even tell the difference if it wasn't like actual real world. Or you could just change the color palettes. Heck, you could take actual stuff. You could just take footage of like JFK and just tell it to change the color palette to make JFK and everything around it just be like the color palettes of Kirby or Spyro the Dragon. I don't know, I'm just saying I like backgrounds and environments in video games. But yeah, as far as like the hentai stuff I was talking about, I mean, obviously you could do the same with the hentai, but I'm saying, what if you took scenes from hentai or ecchi or very heavy fan service anime or even scenes from video games or even scenes from manga, and you were to draw them in the style of like Renaissance paintings, like, you know, like Michelangelo, like the Sistine Chapel, that sort of stuff. Like, what if you were to like, or take any famous artist from history, but the general style I'm talking about, like the types of very high quality oil paintings from like the 16th and 17th century that would have been like considered like priceless artifacts, like that kind of level of quality. And you just have hentai, or, you know, just very heavy fan servicey ecchi anime that isn't quite crossing that line into hentai. Or even just scenes from video games or scenes from mangas. Like, heck, imagine if you took a manga panel and you had it completely, like, you just took, like, tell me about if there's, I mean, you guys can't share links, but you can tell me, like, the manga in general and what the scene depicts in the comments. And the idea being this. Imagine a scene from a manga, especially if it was a manga that's never even been made into an anime. And imagine if it was drawn in that like 16th, 17th century oil painting style, but still as lewd as you want it to be. It could even be more lewd than, like, if you pick an actual outright hentai, you could somehow make it even more lewd. Or change it in some way. You're like, well, how about, you know, albedo from Overlord? But in the style of a 16th or 17th century. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of very high quality paintings in especially the opening and closing segments of the... But I'm just saying, like, what if, like, you know that scene of albedo, like the picture at the ending credits with the ending music for the seasons? Like, one, as is, it looks really amazing. I really like that artwork, and her tits are awesome, and her overall shape of her body and her face, very, very pretty. What if you were to draw that in the style of a 16th and 17th century oil painting, and had it like the highest quality thing? Like, imagine a picture of Shalltear, but in the style of Vincent van Gogh, also with bigger boobs. Also, you could have like two very high... Okay, not everything has to be nudity, but yes, I'm imagining Shalltear naked now, with bigger titties. And futa. But aside from that, we gotta keep things classy. So, and also, I do like outfits. Like, heck, the clothing style. Heck, I think I'll share a picture in the... in my community post at some point. Though at some point I need to start removing a lot of videos I put in because I got way too carried away with that, and I've just shared like a couple thousand videos in my community post. So I'll start just going through my community posts and like, okay, here's a video. I'll save it to this playlist, and then I'll delete it from the community post. That way, it's less of a clusterfuck. Not that my playlists in general aren't kind of a clusterfuck already. I'm sorry I can't focus on one subject very long anymore. My bad. I'm trying to stay focused, and I'm just failing horribly. It's like, hey, Lunar, you want to stay your attention on this one thing? I'm like, no. Heck, we were talking about, albedo's titties, and now I'm imagining shalltear's titties. But the main thing I was going with that is this. At some point, I'm going to share a picture of that I found on the internet of. Originally, his name is Fate Graphite from the Berserk of Gluttony anime, light novel, mangas. But around volume 5 of the light novel, he gets his name changed to Fate Barbados, and he gets a really high quality black outfit that has red leather in there and a little bit of white fur. He also has a black obsidian sword in a gold scabbard. And that outfit looks really cool. If I was rich, that is how I would dress. I'm just saying I like cosplay in general. Whether it's an appreciation for people who also like anime as much as I do, or just that it'd be cool just to wear really cool outfits. But main thing is this. While I do like environments and music and the story of animes, and I like the actual character design themselves. I mean, heck, I'm imagining albedo and shalltear naked right now. Now, granted, yes, I'm imagining shalltear with bigger titties. That being said, yes, imagine them both naked. Both versions with vagina and versions with cock and balls. Because both look really sexy. Now, which version would you guys like? It depends on your preference. I mean, heck, it's what do you guys like? Heck, it's like in the Crackdown game. Like the original Crackdown game, Xbox 360, was a lot of fun. Now, Crackdown 2 and 3 were shit. But I'll say this. Crackdown 1, it just was fun to just get progressively more fucking ridiculous. Like initially, you're just punching people normal, throwing normal grenades, you're driving like a normal person. And then later on, you're driving fucking supercars, flying down the road, and you're jumping like half the size of a skyscraper, jumping over buildings, doing like parkour that would make Ezio, just sort of like, what the fuck is happening? It's like this is the Assassin's Creed we all want. Then again, Shadow War is like the Assassin's Creed you want in terms of how much you could stab people. But Crackdown was like the amount of parkour you want and just the ability to run the fuck around and do whatever the fuck you want. And you just like punch people like 500 feet away and throw grenades that blow up buildings and shit. And like eventually you get like a harpoon gun and you like have your supercar and then you like harpoon 20 people to each of your tires. And then you just start driving down the road in your supercar, flying down the sidewalk, mowing people down with like people going blah 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 because they're harpooned into your tires as you run down more people while you shoot grenade launchers and rockets out the side of your fucking window. Then again, like here's the thing, EDF. From what I saw, EDF 4, 5, and even 6, I don't really care for how... I mean, cool, they tried new things with it, but honestly, I still like the graphic style as well as the gameplay mechanics of EDF 3 or EDF 2017 for the Xbox 360 more. And like I said, it's a game where you just go around shooting giant spiders and ants with machine guns and rocket launchers. And then later on, there's Godzilla, and he's brought there by aliens. Then the aliens rip off Godzilla's arms and strap a laser to his back. Just a big-ass laser cannon. Then again, as always, I would always suggest some of the greatest games. Like for the PS2, you got Dark Cloud, you got Dot Hack Infection, you got Dragon Quest VIII, you got Shining Force EXA, you have Grandia 3, Wild Arms 3, you have Star Ocean Till the End of Time, which is technically the third game in that series. You have the Ratchet and Clank games back then, Jak and Daxter, Spyro the Dragon's a PS1 game. Okay, let's go up to the PS1 games. Brave Fencer Musashi, Mega Man Legends, Spyro the Dragon, Crash Bandicoot, Gex Enter the Gecko, Jersey Devil, Blam Machine Head. Heck, if you go into Dreamcast games, you got Sonic Shuffle, a game much better than Mario Party. And heck, if you go into Sega games, I mean, other than the initial Sonic games, you have Sonic 3D Blast, Sonic Spinball, really, really good games. Heck, I really like the original Halo trilogy. It'd be cool if they brought that to PlayStation, and you had like the Halo Forge that was on Halo 3. But you had that for the Halo 1, 2. You also had like, imagine if you had like Halo Forge for campaigns. So it'd be like Mario Maker, but for Halo, and you have like thousands of custom campaigns getting made by random fucking people all across the internet. Then, of course, you know, back on the NES, Mario 1, Mario 3, Robo Warrior, Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest, Swords and Serpents, Dragon Spirit the New Legend, Battle Kid 1, Fortress of Peril, Battle Kid 2, Mountain of Torment. Of course, there's the I Wanna Be the Guy game, the original version on the computer, which is free. You have old Let's Players, like Ultra J-Man, Rom Scout, Slow Beef, Proton John, Freelance Astronauts. Really cool shit. But, yeah, I'm just saying, while it would also be really cool to have high-quality oil paintings of Albedo and Shalltear naked. And, of course, I still want a good environment drawn around them, too. Even in the situations where they're fully fucking naked, I don't want it just to be a blank fucking canvas behind them. I want it to be like a backdrop in Nazarick, or, heck, it could be something from a different anime. Like, you could have literally, you know, take Shalltear naked and have her, like, in the backgrounds of, like, Mega Man Legends. But, again, look like a Renaissance painting. Or, heck, let's see. What are some really popular anime characters that you guys like? And like I said, any gender, you know, it could be like a dragon waifu or something. It's like, here's this character it's like 20 feet tall and has a big-ass dragon tail. Sure, why not? But yeah, imagine albedo drawn in front of whatever background you think would look really... Heck, put her in, like, Cyberpunk, or put her in Nazarick, or... What would be a memorable, noticeable... Heck, you can draw her from inside put her in the background of Evangelion. Heck, let's just go full Renaissance painting. Like, let's take albedo and let's have her, like, the background is like the normal kind of background you would see in a Renaissance painting. But instead of, you know, other people, you'd have albedo and draw it in the style of that, but also you could also just still draw in the anime style too. It depends on your preference. Like, how do you want to draw? It's like, do you want to use brighter colors? Do you want to use darker colors? What looks cooler? What gets you harder? You know? What looks more aesthetically pleasing? Both in a sexual and non-sexual way. Because there are times I can have appreciation. Like, I was complaining earlier about the bike trails. There are no bike trails here with cherry blossom trees. There's nothing sexual about a cherry blossom tree. It's just pretty. It's just like, you walk outside, you look at clouds going by, like, and you look at the grass, and you look at the trees blowing in the wind. It just looks pretty. It looks nice. And same thing about albedo. Well, paintings of her absolutely fucking naked are awesome. I like the outfits. And of course, you could always draw albedo an outfit from another video game. You could draw her in, heck, cyberpunk stuff, or stuff from, like, Konosuba. Heck, you could draw albedo, but give her the outfit that Aqua wears in Konosuba. But in general, like, the outfits that anime characters wear, those look really cool, especially if there's a lot of detail put in. And of course, many of the outfits that you see albedo or shalltear wear, especially shalltear is like a super big, frilly sort of dress, which in of itself looks cool. So imagine the clothing themselves, but drawn in the Renaissance style. So I think it's cool just So at this point, I'm like making anime characters cosplay as other anime characters. But even then, just the initial outfits that albedo is in, like the outfits that even in just the first episode, where you first, like, especially when the floor guardians come up to the floor 6 and this anime starts, and I'm just saying, or heck, imagine if you took a light novel that hasn't been adapted or anything, and you read the descriptions given into it, and you try to imagine how it would actually look. Imagine if there was no concept art, and you just try to picture how it would look. Like, imagine if there was no artwork for Momonga from Overlord, and you just read the light novel, and that's all there was, and there was no pictures at all drawn by anyone else. How would you, like, after reading the description of what he looks like, how would you picture him in your head? How would you try to draw him? But yeah, imagine albedo or shalltear. Both them, the environments, their clothing, in the style of Renaissance paintings. Like, imagine ecchi or hentai drawn, but as an oil painting. I don't know. Well, let's try to actually pay attention to what we're doing. As I yawn into the thing, I'm sleepy now. Souls pulsing with rage, regret, and remorse, powerful feelings that make them coveted like diamonds. However, because these souls are often overflowing with emotions, they are hard to reap. Like trying to pull a ship that's anchored to the ocean floor. But by solving the circumstances of their murders, they are placated and easily harvested. It's not always easy, but the reward is well worth the trouble. Plus, there is some fun solving a murder. It's good when your work can become your play. Yeah, I mean, if you can have fun with what you do for a job, you'll never work a day in your life. I was talking about work earlier. Like I said, my current job, yeah, it's a bit tiring at sometimes, and it's got its own issues, but I'll say this. And I am getting currently paid a little bit less than what I was currently making before. Not that it's a huge difference, but I was never rich before. But I'll say this. I'm still very glad I quit the previous job I was working. It did take me a while to get a new job. And I wasn't able to get the kind of new job I was wanting, but hey, I'm just thankful I was able to get a different job. But it's just, the previous job was killing me. I was like having 1,000 milligrams of caffeine a day and needing ibuprofen just to get through the day at all. And granted, I wasn't really doing heavy lifting. I was just doing a lot of fucking moving, and the way I was having to do high-speed, weird turns with my legs, I was putting way too much torque on my knees. So, like, my heart was in constant pain from all the caffeine and stress from that job, and my knees and back were always fucking killing me at that job. So at least this job is, even though it's actually has more heavy lifting and stuff, it's actually less impactful on my body. So, yeah, that's good. But at the same time, yeah, I'm just really glad I don't work that previous job anymore, because my body was breaking down and I was just really stressed all the time. I mean, I'd be coming back and I'd be sounding all super sad recording videos from how, like, fucking just beaten down I felt from what I was doing for a living. Then again, I've worked like factories and shit my whole life. It's just that job was just, it was beating me down quite a bit. And it was more than I could handle anymore. My body was just giving out on me. And I don't know. I didn't see myself physically lasting much longer before I'd wind up having like a heart attack or a stroke, or like tear something in my knees. Then again, during that little bit of time where I was off, I did try some jogging and running. I strained my fucking hamstrings a little bit at one point. Heck, at one point I accidentally, stayed out walking too long and got really badly sunburnt. Then again, it was like a really, really hot, bright day in like the middle of like June or July or some shit. Maybe it would have been a good idea to bring water or sunblock or not walk so fucking long. I think I started walking that day shortly after the sun rose, and I got back shortly before the sun went down, and my body, my legs were in agony for like 2 fucking weeks after that. And of course, the sunburn was so fucking bad. Oh. But, yeah, all in all, things are okay. I mean, there are times I'm kind of worried about the future, about, like, if something might go wrong at this job, or if I might get hurt from the tools I have to use, or if my body might have an issue with that, or if this job might eventually lay people off, or if I get fired or something might go wrong, or I feel like I have to sneeze. Okay, I guess not. But there it is. Okay. But it's just, and I do make a little bit less money overall, but I don't know. I am worried about the future, about not making rent one day, but I think we'll be okay. But yeah. Yeah, sorry I got off topic. I guess I do that a lot. I keep saying I'm going to try not to do that, but it's kind of hard to. I get easily distracted, I guess. Oh, right, the murder mystery thing. You guys remember the movie Clue? It had Tim Curry in it. It was based off of a board game called Clue. Which, there was a game kind of similar to that called Ebola Monkey Hunt. Which I know sounds odd. It had both, cards as well as a board you walked around and rolled dice. But the idea is you were a bunch of researchers in hazmat suits going around. Imagine like SCP, but Containment Breach, but a board game. And this existed before, I think, SCP. Like, I think that before the SCP games, or even the file, because I don't know what year the first SCP, file archives or anything were starting to get made. And I think SCPs back, they, what was the word for that? I don't remember the word for predate the backrooms. I'm pretty sure the stories of SCP files existed before backroom entities, but I'm not sure. I don't know. But main point is that this game existed before SCP. I remember playing it in 2001, and basically what it was is you're playing a board game with cards and stuff and decks, and it can even have like expansions. And you're like these 4 scientist dudes in hazmat suits, and you're basically walking around. You have to keep track of like what direction your character's facing, and their movement speed and all that sort of stuff. So it's kind of like D&D in a way, but you're like scientists in hazmat suits, and you're having to contain an escape, a containment breach of a bunch of like monkeys that were being experimented on. But they're all infected with Ebola, and some of them have like superpowers or unique traits or personality characteristics. So some of them are more timid, some of them are more aggressive, some of them are more capable of tearing through your hazmat suit, and you have to, what's the condition of your health? What's the condition of your suit? Like, are you gonna catch Ebola? But the idea is all these monkeys have Ebola, and they're all loose, but they might be less or more infectious and less or more aggressive. And in some expansions, they might have some additional personality characteristics or something, a mutation or something different about them. I know. It's one of those older games. Back when I played Magic the Gathering like 20 plus fucking years ago. Though, to be fair, I was like, 12 or 13 back then or some shit? I don't know. I don't remember. And with the bittersweet smell of death in the air, I can always tell when I'll have my work cut out for me. Happy Halloween, humans. You always make such monsters of yourselves. Begin your hunt for a soul. You guys remember the anime Soul Eater? My vision cleared as I materialized in the darkness. Immediately I felt my clothes starting to cling to my skin as heavy downpour of rain began to soak me. It didn't bother me. Being wet is no problem for a Reaper. Okay, I'm a horrible person. I immediately thought of that in a sexual way. You can't pick and choose where the finest dead souls will be found. I wiped some of the water from my face and looked around. I was standing at the side of what might have started the day as a scenic little dirt road through a forest. Now, though, it was becoming a long slick of mud. The only light came from a pale illumination of the full moon. It was enough to navigate by. Surrounding me, I could see wild grass, trees, and large rocky hills nearby. Ah, the quiet, rural landscape of the country, perfect for intimate murders with few witnesses. Perhaps someone was killed in the forest, in a slaughterhouse, maybe even on the road. I hummed these thoughts to myself as the rain continued to pour down, but rather than make any early guesses, I let the scent of death guide me instead. I breathed in the air and let the bittersweet aroma guide me down the wet, rainy road. Sooner or later I'd come across a corpse. It was only a matter of time. I didn't have to wait long, as after 10 minutes of walking I could see shapes in the darkness. A modest home, a collection of cars carefully packed on the roadside, and more importantly, a group of costumed humans gathered close together by the entrance. Well, it was Halloween. It was no surprise that they were all dressed up, but in a rural area like this, would they really be going trick-or-treating? They looked too old to be doing that. Or have adults started going around asking for candy these days? I walked closer, but kept to the shadows, so I could get a better look at them while staying undetected. Things could get complicated once I revealed myself. I couldn't hear them very well over the downpour, but I was close enough to be able to discern their appearances. The first one that caught my eye was a young man who was wearing an owl costume. He looked a little skittish and was trying to peer inside the house through the windows. There was a cardboard box by his feet, though I couldn't exactly tell what was in it. Next was another young man who was, on first glance, looked like a zombie. Hey, it's the Chinese thing. And everyone's like, you're imagining that girl from Darkstalkers with the titties. I'm sorry. Everyone's like, Lunar, stay focused. Stop spacing out. Don't go on another tangent about random bullshit. And then he goes on a 30-minute discussion about wanting to fuck Chinese vampires with giant titties. Though, as I observed him, I corrected myself. Based on his outfit, I believe he was dressed as a Jianshi, a creature of Chinese myth that's sort of a vampiric zombie. Costume aside, he looked irritable and was pounding his fist on the door. And while I couldn't hear his words, I was able to make out his anger. Put simply, he was pissed, for one reason or another. My eyes cast downwards towards the man's feet, and I saw 2 plastic bags full of bottles. Lastly, there was a young woman who was wearing a dress with a tongue? Not an easy costume to work out straight away, but when you work with the macabre as much as I do. It's hard not to take an interest in various cultures' spooky myths. I deduced that she was wearing an interesting take on the umbrella yokai. Imagine if she had little attachments on her back. It could be mistaken for a siren, a gorgon, a beholder, a spider. Not bad, all things considered. And like the others, she had a plastic container by her feet full of something. She was busy typing away on her phone and also peering through the windows. 3 people all dressed up in Halloween costumes, outside of a pitch-black house, one where the scent of death was ominously strong. Those poor humans were just going to end up waiting by the door until the night was done. While I can be very patient, I hate wasting time needlessly. I stepped out from the rain and approached the house. It didn't take long for the three to turn and notice me. Who's there? Vic, is that you? Obviously, that's not Vic. Stop jumping at every shadow that shows up. That's obviously not a shadow, that's a person. I think. What else would it be? Oh, the tail even curves around. Didn't see that initially. Monster. What if it's a monster? Have you looked at yourselves? It talks! Dude! Oh my god. It's painful how terrible he is at socialization. How kind of the group's fool to identify himself. It's Halloween, of course. There's going to be a bunch of monsters roaming about. Although, the umbrella lady pointed at her phone at me, the light illuminating me entirely. That's a pretty great costume. You must have put a lot of work into that Grim Reaper outfit. Thank you. It's my work uniform. And she's in character, too. That's some real dedication. Why are you complimenting her? I have to agree with Bernard on this one. This chick's kind of weird. What's weird about me? I'm just enjoying the night. I don't mean to offend, really, but we don't know you and you just walked up to us out of the shadows. Yeah, we are kind of like really, really deep in the country. So it's not like you just like passed us by like even on another house in the middle of the city. Like there's no logical reason for you to be here unless you know the Victor person, who is either someone who's a friend of ours who's supposed to be coming here, or is the occupant of the house who lives here who is probably dead. Not to mention all this weird stuff going on with Vic and... Who's Vic? You're not even going to address the other thing I said? I shot a stern glare at the owl man, who stiffened up and averted his gaze. Well, he just... Before the cowardly man could continue, the zombie raised his hand to make him stop talking. Look, I don't know who you are or what your deal is, but it's none of your business. What are you even doing out here? I mean, that is a logical question. So the blunt approach wasn't going to work. That was fine. I can put on the charm when I need to. I cleared my throat and then pretended to shiver. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to impose. I was just on my way to work and I lost control of my car on the muddy roads. I can't get great self-service, and no other cars have come by to help. So I've been wandering along the road hoping to find some sort of help. Still, that's very suspicious, but yeah, we can understand. I'm just a little irritable from getting soaked to the bone. I can understand that. While I do really enjoy thunderstorms, like I am the kind of person, everyone's like, stop getting distracted. Okay, I'll be quick on this one, okay, I swear. I like to watch thunderstorms. I like to listen to thunderstorms. Like, if there's a big thunderstorm, I like to sit on my front porch and just, drink some Pepsi or some tea or some, water or whatever, and just watch the storm as it's storming, and watch the wind and the rain, but not get wet myself. I don't like walking in the storm. I don't like driving in a storm. So, yeah. Though when I was younger, I didn't care as much, and I actually would sometimes walk out in thunderstorms and just go for a walk in them. But as soon as I got home, I'd have to strip out of my completely drenched clothes and hop in the shower. And everyone's like, well, you're already wet. Why do you need, because if you don't wash off the stuff in the shower, that's just gross. Plus, I like taking showers. I take 15 plus a week. I like the shower. It's nice. But yeah, it does make me irritable if I get soaked in clothes. It's itchy and it's uncomfortable and it starts to cause rashes. Plus, it can cause hypothermia. You were literally standing in the rain like a creep. The owl guy mumbled under his breath. Luckily, it seemed that my pleading was enough to at least soften the zombie's glare on me. Maybe he did have a heart, perhaps even a non-rotting one, despite how good the rest of his costume was. Same thing happened to us, sort of. We all got here before the rain got bad, but the mud's got all of our cars stuck. And to make matters worse, we can't even get into Vic's house. Who's Vic? I hoped that this time they'd be more receptive to my question. He's a friend of ours and a big horror fanatic. Every Halloween he hosts a big party for us at his house. Okay. Well, that's cool of him and all. If it's just the four of you, that's not a big party. And everyone's like, Lunar, stop judging them. I will. It's 4 people. Even by my standards of the antisocial, withdrawn otaku I am. That is a small number of people. It is, even with the addition of Miss Greya, this is still a small gathering. The man pointed the house in front of us. Well, it's not a big sense of people, more in presentation. It's pretty remote here, but he goes all out with the decorations. Sometimes he goes too far. I swear he's given me a heart attack for the things he's done. I see, so you can't get your friend's house. Sounds troublesome. It is. We're waiting out here in the rain, and he's got the entire house locked up. Locked up? The door and windows are completely locked. And we can't see inside because all the blinds are closed and the lights are off. They're all dead, aren't they? Let me guess. Vic and all 3 of us are dead. And it's just going to be a story about gradually finding out that we're all dead. And how. But before we get to that point, it's going to be a series of us running from something scary, finding Vic dead, and then being scared of other stuff. And then eventually finding our own dead corpses. Well, I probably should stop the video. I mean, it's been a long video. Granted, not a lot of gameplay because I kind of got distracted. But yeah, I hope everyone had a good day. And I hope everyone has all the hugs and head pats you could ever want. And while I am a bit of a tsundere, I do appreciate if you guys stop by. And if you enjoyed listening to the crazy guy ramble about his otaku interests because of such a fucking weeb loser I am, thank you. I appreciate that you wanted to spend your valuable time listening to me. Well, until next time, bye guys.